Hi, welcome to Romance Raiders Therapy, and I'm Kate Pryor.
And I'm Marty V.
And this week we're bringing the much anticipated last installment of our Romancing the Beat series.
Yes.
Where we literally just recap this short book to you.
In long form.
Because you couldn't read it yourself, listener. Your time is precious. You listen to us on double speed.
Oh my gosh. So my daughter listens to podcasts now, and she does listen on double speed, and both Andrew and I are like, you want us to slow that down? She's like, no. Like, the amount of input she is just consuming. Like, oh my god, I'm tired. Like,
I cannot consume on double speed. Only one time I've done that for an audiobook, and it's because the narrator just read in a very slow voice, and I was just like, okay, no, I need to bring you up to a normal speed. But when I try to put people on fast, it's like, oh god, I cannot process this.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely have that as well. Or it just takes me a little time to my brain to speed up to their speed, and then I'm totally fine. And so Jude listening on double speed makes everybody else sound really slow. And I actually just upped another, I usually listen on 1.25 speed, right? Because I usually, people take breaks longer than they need to, stuff like that. We can go a little faster. And I just recently sped something up to 1.5, just because the reader she takes her time. She is indulging in her own schedule. But I was just thinking of if someone does listen to me on double speed, I talk fast sometimes. Good luck. Oh my.
It was definitely a note that I got back from editing the other podcast I edit. The host was like, you need to leave a little more breath between when I ask the question and my interviewee responds.
Really?
And I was like, why? And she's like, it doesn't sound natural. And I was like, but the seconds of silence are
boring.
They kill me.
Yeah.
They're boring. Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, that's something I like about your editing is you kind of really place questions and answers right on top of each other.
I'm sure no one else likes that.
If it doesn't sound natural, that's I didn't notice it didn't. I thought it was really well done. So I don't want time of silence. I don't want silence.
How dare I be left alone with my
own
thoughts
god,
for a
no,
moment.
not my thoughts.
Oh no,
those bitches are complicated.
I don't like them.
So Kate, have you been writing on anything?
Oh, I have actually. Although I don't know if it's more, it's less writing, more just kind of rearranging. I'm working on a project that I tabled. And so that's kind of the appeal of working on it, is that I told myself I would work on something else.
What do you mean?
I lined up a bunch of things. I was like, okay, I'm going to wait for this one last rejection on this project that I've queried a bunch of agents for. And if this gets rejected, then, I'm going to rip out the main plot and I'm going to redo it entirely.
Yep. Oh, okay.
And I did write down a bunch of thoughts on how to redo that. And I was like, all right, now I have permission to start that. And I was really excited about it. But then I was like, what if I took a detour? If I didn't do that just yet? Because I'm sure I'm going to get bored of this project really soon, and then I'm going to be ready to settle down into the big projects. Mm-hmm. But, between things, it's nice to work on something that doesn't matter.
I don't know. I guess so goal-oriented. That is something I struggle with for myself, is being like, hey, you could relax. You could calm the fuck down.
God, and it's contagious.
I'm sorry.
Let me tell you. You said something to me, because I was talking to you about a video game I like to play, and then you said something like, yeah, I tried playing that, but it just occurred to me that I wasn't actually accomplishing the things that I felt like I was accomplishing in the game. And that that just stuck with me, and I was like, every time I pick up a game now, I'm like, I'm not actually accomplishing anything.
I am so sorry. I did not mean to ruin your fun. I swear I'm actually a joyful person, not just someone out Debbie Downering
this is a
everybody.
False sense of accomplishment.
That's another. You're gonna hate this one. Should I even tell you this one?
Okay. I'm ready for it.
So when I watch, I enjoy watching TV. right? I like watching movies and
Okay.
TV, and like I'm cool with that. It's when it becomes like habit for me to like watch TV. I sit there and think I am watching someone else succeed at their dreams. And like I'm happy for them.
Oh.
I'm happy for them. Good for them, but I want to actually succeed at my dreams. And those dreams take time. And so like, yeah. Yeah, that one, every once in a while that one will sneak up on
You
me and I'm
know,
like, okay, so clearly I'm spending too much time in front of the television. Like,
yeah, no, I just, like some people like watch like the Olympics and they
yeah.
point at these 20-year-olds and they're like, look at those people. And like, look how much they're accomplishing right now. And I'm also 26 now and I can't do any of that.
Yes. Okay.
And I never have been able to. And it's like, it never occurs to me to think that way.
Uh-huh.
But I definitely had like a moment in like, I want to say high school, maybe early college, where I just kind of said to myself, what if I didn't have big dreams? What if I just was happy,
That's nice.
with the small and the everyday?
Yeah.
What if I let myself be content with those things?
Well,
And I tried it for a bit.
and I tried
And I did like
for
it.
a bit.
No, because there was a point where I was like, what if I don't need to like write big books?
Mm-hmm.
And I did have a good couple of years where I was like, let me have other dreams. And then it was like, no, that didn't work. Don't like that.
Well, and I will say that like I do feel like I celebrate like in the moment, like life, And yes, I have high aspirations, but like mostly like I just want to support my household and we live pretty modestly. So like that's like it. Like that is the goal I want to achieve, and once I get there I can decide what to do. But like that's the goal. That's what I want. And so there's just lots of things that have to happen to make that happen. And there are easier ways that I could do that, quite frankly. The writing is me indulging in my own creativity. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't want to not write. That's what I want to be doing
Yeah.
all of the time. Always, all the time, always.
Yeah. I think I'm just, trying to make sure that it never, like the enjoyment of writing is never eclipsed by the business side of writing.
And I get that. I really do. But I'm like, I am a gamified.
You're such a go-getter.
I am. And like the business side is how I gamify, right? Like that's part of the game. I cannot stop thinking of how to move the pieces in the most efficient way possible. This is just who I am. There's no shutting it off, and it's acceptance, and that's the way forward. So, but I do appreciate like we can have the same goal of like writing and putting our books out there and enjoying that process while like the actual goal is different. And I think there's a lot of freedom in that.
Yeah.
You want to talk about the Dark Knight?
Well, okay. Yeah, are we having a Dark Night right now?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make everything heavy. The worst part is I'm enjoying all of these thoughts. I'm a twisted person. I am twisted. Like I don't know why I'm like
torturing me.
I was like talking to Andrew about like different things, like different strategies to like help me be more productive and like stuff like that. And he's like, I need you to stop because you're stressing me out. I'm like, okay, fine. Like I can talk to you later.
You don't need to be more productive. You're already productive.
I want to be more productive.
So... No. Bad.
Chill the fuck out.
Stop it.
Oh, but like I'm working on Truth or Dare and getting that draft done, and I'm about to get to the end of like the short story that's been written, and now I get to like do the fun plot stuff that I've added, and so I'm really looking forward to that.
Okay.
But like I'm also like at that point where apparently like projects have like a 4-week window for me where I really should try to get that first draft done in 4 weeks, and it doesn't matter how messy or how short it is. That's really what I need to try to do, because now there's a new shiny like idea I want to play with. You know what I mean? Like it's a lot.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing now. I'm just following the shiny idea.
But that's also part of your process. If I don't get
true
this, well, that's not even true. I'm sure there's first drafts I'll go back to to get done. But like, I'm on deadline for this one, so I have to get it done. That has to happen. And now, like, I've put my favorite idea at the end of this series. And so I have to write all the pieces between it in order to get to that favorite idea. So there's a lot of, like, gears going in my head right now, like, in this exact moment. We should talk about Phase 4, Fighting for Love.
Yeah, we should. We've killed, like, 10 minutes.
Yeah, we have.
Okay.
So, to recap, I'm just going to tell listener what the other phases are called to kind of get you where we're at.
Okay.
This is Gwen Hayes' Romancing the Beats, and it goes over the 4-act structure for writing a romance novel. And it is focused solely on the romantic aspect of the plot. So we have Phase 1, setup. We have Phase 2, falling in love. We have Phase 3, retreating from love. And now we are at Phase 4, fighting for love. And the first beat in that phase is the Dark Knight.
Dark Knight of the Soul.
The Dark Knight of the Soul.
Not to be confused with Batman Dark Knight.
No, but I love that movie. Anyway.
It's like that B-movie meme.
What?
Where, maybe... I'm not going to explain the B-movie meme. Let's just get past that. But
let's pretend like I didn't bring it up.
No. It was like a thing for a while on various social medias and YouTube that to edit the B-movie in a way that it would contain the entirety of the B-movie in it.
Okay.
So, like, we're like, there's the regular B-movie, but then, like, we get to a certain point in the scene where maybe the first time someone says the word B.
Okay.
And from there, the movie would start over again. And it would play the whole entirety of the B-movie. And then it would resume where it picked up on the first watch through. And it would go to the next time someone said the word B. And then it would start the whole movie over again. You would watch the whole movie through. And then you would go, are you following me?
Okay, yeah.
So, yeah, it was like a whole thing for a while. People just kept editing it like this.
Huh.
I think they did it with Shrek too. It was a fun little meme. But I'm just envisioning... I'm sorry to take us down this road. I was just like envisioning like, so you've had your entire book up to this point, but now we're having the Dark Knight. So the entirety of the Dark Knight movie happens. And then you can resume your novel.
Okay, so the Dark Knight is like when they have broken up and the characters feel that they should not be so depressed right now.
No. This is them just being depressed.
Well, but, I mean, she straight up says, like, they think they should feel better than they do about the stupid thing they just did.
Okay, that's different, I feel like. When you say, I shouldn't, like, we're not gonna be depressed. It's like, no, that makes it sound like you're feeling better.
They should be depressed. No.
It's gotta feel bad first.
Yeah.
Yes, you should feel...
This is the Dark Knight.
The worst you've ever felt.
Yeah. This is post-breakup of the love of your life, but you feel like you should be vindicated in why you have broken up. Does that make more sense?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're telling yourself that it shouldn't hurt this much because I made the right decision.
Also, listener, we're probably going to go through these phases pretty fast because we already touched on these phases in the episode that we talked about Romancing the Beats before. So I'll have a link to that in case you want to visit it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like Dark Knight of the Soul is kind of a beat that happens in, other kind of story structures like the hero's journey. Mm-hmm. It is that the black moment, as they call it. It's like, this is the moment of despair and the lowest of the lows.
So I'm thinking of Moana when her Dark Knight is when Maui flies off and tells her that the ocean picked wrong, and she throws the heart back into the sea, and she's weeping on the raft, and then Grandma Tala comes up and is like, this should never have been put on your shoulders. And that's the Dark Knight. When she sings all the things that she is and says, I am Moana, that would be her, the next beat, wake up beat.
Here's a question. How many times do you think Judas made you watch Moana?
Made is not the word. How many times have I gotten the opportunity to see Moana? read a lot. So we also have the book and we read it regularly. So I know everybody's names.
I believe it. So I'm just waiting for, like, because everyone who I know who has a small child has been telling me about how it's nonstop Encanto.
Oh yeah, Encanto happened.
House.
But I think Jude being like such an emotionally tender person, I think it might have been a bit much for her. And so it like happened pretty heavily, but it kind of went away pretty quick too.
Okay.
Oh, poor Asher Dash. I let them watch Bluey last night or yesterday, and then it's one of my favorite episodes where like Bluey is bed hopping, and so everyone in the house is exhausted and unrested because everybody's getting pushed out of their beds because Bluey can't just stay in her bed. And so poor little Bingo ends up like in a bed without her lovey, cold, and then Mom ends up like wrapping herself around her, and Bingo is dreaming about the sun wrapping itself around her because all of her dreams are in space at this time, right? And so the sun wraps itself around her, and it's mom. It has her mom's voice, and it's like, I'm right here, and da-da-da. And poor Ash just started wailing. He sobbed for like, I mean, for like 5 minutes in the basement with Juders, and I was like, Juders, I'm gonna bring him upstairs. And so he and I had to sit on his chair while he sobbed and just repeated Bluey over and over. It just broke his heart that she was alone and cold. Like, and Ash is 3 years old. Like, he turned 3 just like a couple days ago, really. Like, this poor little guy was devastated. Oh. So it took a while for him to calm down. I love that episode. Every episode, like, has a really lovely resolution.
I cannot stress the amount of times that you have recommended this show to me.
I cannot stress the amount of times I've withheld. I'm like, she knows that you want her to watch it. Just leave her alone. It's for kids. And I'm like, but it's so good.
See, the thing is, I don't have a problem watching kids' cartoons. You know, like, I feel like I keep recommending kids' shows to you that are, like, just a little bit out of the age group for your kids.
But, like, Klaus, like, Jude got really into this winter.
Oh.
She really enjoyed it.
Did I recommend
Yeah,
it?
Yeah. And you were absolutely right.
Okay,
it is beautifully illustrated.
Oh, it is gorgeous. I can't believe that's 2D animation.
That's incredible.
I know.
I did not know that. That is incredible.
I know that they created a computer program to render the shadows in the way that a 3D animation normally looks to create that effect, but it is, I believe, 2D animation.
That's incredible. People are so talented.
Yeah. I really love the thing about loving animation, and to go off on a tangent,
like, we are not good at short episodes,
is that, like, you either, like, because so much of animation is just oriented towards children, you either get, like, stuff that is just the grossest stuff you've ever seen in your life, or you get stuff aimed for kids.
Yeah.
And it's like, there is no in between.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, it's like, I'm thinking of Rick and Morty, and yeah, it's pretty disturbing, and like, there are definitely episodes where I'm like, I need a bath. Like, I have seen things in this episode, and it has brought something dark to the surface, and I feel very uncomfortable.
Yeah. It's like this, it's not even like the grossest thing I can think of, but it's like the way that you've illustrated it, the way that you've made it move is so skin crawling.
Oh man, I just remembered like a particular scene, and yes, it did make my skin crawl and dark in my heart. So
yeah,
let's go back to Wake Up. So we're at the beat Wake Up, which comes after
we're
Dark
talking
Knight.
about romance.
This is the beat where like they realize like, I'm an idiot and I am losing the love of my life when I should not be losing the love of my life, and I need to fix this.
Yeah. I feel like this is such a hard part of the story for me. Like, okay, like just in general, the second half of the book is the hardest part.
So hard.
Because it's like creating this, you have to create a reason for them to break up that's reason enough for them to break up. but you at the same time have to make it so that it's not so big that you cannot come back from
it is a hard balance.
And that's such a thin line. It's like so rarely have I felt in my real life relationships that, you know, like if there's something that happened that made us break up, bridges are burned. I don't want to talk to you ever again.
Right?
It's like, it's so rare that I want to even like acknowledge your existence after that. Yeah,
no, that's absolutely fair. And like that is something that I struggle with, yes, in the second half of like, how is it enough? But how are they redeemable?
Yeah.
I don't think I ever told you what ended up happening for Just Fake Married.
Oh, yeah, because you were rewriting the ending.
Always. Yeah. So,
do you want to spoil it?
I'm not going to spoil it here. No way. But I am happy with it. I think I'm happy with it.
Just
I'm happy with it. I hope other people are happy with it. So part of what ends up making, like redeeming the wrong that the hero or heroine has done, or, you know, your H's, your they, thems.
Yeah.
Yep, is the fact that they...
Your H1s, your H2s.
Yeah, I mean...
Your hydrogen peroxides.
Your monsters from the deep. I mean...
Like, whatever you got going on.
Yeah, you write your heart. And I believe in you. So... But what redeems them is actually doing the grand gesture. So this has to... I always like to think of, like, who needs to make the apology? Like, who has been more wrong?
Yeah, who did the more wrong?
Who did the more wrong?
To apologize for their shit.
Yes.
Who needs to be reached out to?
But the grand gesture also has to put a level of risk and discomfort on that person.
Well, I feel like we're speeding ahead a little bit much. I know we wanted to get this done quickly.
Do you think we're going too fast? I feel like we're covering everything as... Like, it's a pretty self-explanatory phase, don't you think?
Well,
okay, I'll slow it down. I'll slow it down.
See, because there are so many things I struggle with in this.
Oh,
beat,
really?
Which is like,
okay.
Dark Knight of the Soul, I feel like I got it covered. It's like, I can spend a chapter making the character lament about everything that they've been worrying about up until this point.
Mm-hmm. But then you have to make sure they don't sound mopey either.
That is, I think, a little bit of a hard line to walk, and I think that what Gwen has said in her book kind of really helps with walking that line about the whole, you have to insist to yourself that you're right, but like still be confused that you're wrong, like confused why it hurts so much. And I think that that kind of juxtaposition will keep it from falling into that mopey territory. You know, just my thought. Maybe
no, I think that's fair.
The thing about Wake Up and Catharsis is that this is just kind of a thing that, like, I don't know, like one of those imaginary rules that like maybe doesn't actually have to exist, and I'm just, you know, making things difficult for myself.
Okay, what is your imaginary rule?
Well, so, okay, like, just as a rule, like, at the beginning, I don't really like best friend characters.
Okay.
You know, because I feel like a lot of the time, it's very easy for them to be written in this way where it's like, here, I'm fun and quirky. I instigated the plot where I needed to push you and the love interest together, and then I'm gone forever. And I only pop in when it's
necessary,
convenient for the heroine.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, or convenient for the main characters.
Absolutely.
And it's in a way that it's like, and I don't get to have any personal development of my own. It's such a annoying type of character for me, because it's like, I can see what you're doing. I can see why you're here. You're here because the main character doesn't feel likable enough or something, and someone needs to provide humor. Like, I have such a vendetta against this type of character.
I understand. Do you remember that? Did you see? Because I sent you a TikTok, and I don't know if you saw it.
Oh, I have not seen it.
Dang it, Kate.
I have not been on TikTok.
You missed this one. It's like,
I missed all of them.
POV of the heroine's main character. I wake up and stare at my phone until heroine calls me. And then she asked me out to breakfast, and I have nothing else to do but be there for her. And it's like really fun, like little stuff like that. And it instantly made me think of you.
Oh my god. It's like 100% I've had friends that treat me that way.
Sucks.
Like, as a person, like I'm their secondary character.
Ew.
And it's like, that's why I've ghosted you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's why we friend broke up.
Right.
And so, like, I have such a hard time with the existence of this best friend character who doesn't feel like a best friend a lot of the time, because they always come in at this moment.
Yes, but I do love a best friend character that is developed and does have their own life and like stuff like that. Like I love seeing those relationships depicted on page.
Yeah.
It is like if you and I just had a run-in with what I think is the wrong best friend in another book. And yeah, it's
yeah, we were reading a book together and we didn't like it.
Yeah, she made it farther than I did. It was rough.
I might pick it up again just because it was easy to listen to and be like, hold up, why are we here now?
If you pick it up, like, unfortunately I will too. But do you need me to get a little further ahead of you and to like instigate you to get back into it?
Oh no, I will pick it up on my own. Okay. I'll tell you about it and you'll be like, dang it, I have to read it.
Fine. Because there's a big event that hasn't happened yet. And I'm thinking I should probably keep on going at least to hear that.
Okay.
Well,
let's stop vaguing.
I know.
We just cut all that out.
Listener hates us.
Listener is like, God, just drop the book title, won't you?
No.
Stop being such harpies.
I will be a harpy. Is there anything else you wanted to say about Wake Up?
Well, so it's this best friend character always pops in at this moment because it's convenient for them to, and says, well, here, let me fix your trauma for you real quick. Here, let me be the external force that, like, you need to push you out of your funk. And it's like, I resent that it feels like the main character can't come to this conclusion on their own, or that it does... See, okay, in a murder mystery, the moment that is equivalent to this is the detective, let's say Poirot, is going on, oh no, I don't know any of the, like, none of the clues are lining up, oh my, you know, like, zut alors. And he, you know, he's just so mad and he's getting angry and he's bitching at Hastings because he's like, none of it's lining up, it doesn't make any sense, none of it, blah blah blah. And then someone says something like, oh, I didn't put lemon in my tea.
Exactly.
1 second, let me go get and then he's like, Miss Lemon, you are amazing. And then it's like, yeah. And then he's like, it's because of the slice of lemon in the tea that she didn't taste the poison and blah blah blah. He just goes on like that. Yes. It's like it's this external event. Like, no one handed him the answer. He came to the answer, the right conclusion himself, because he's got the little gray cells to put it all together. But it's like he couldn't have done it without being around people. And that's a moment that, to me, it feels, every single time I've seen this happen in every murder mystery I've read or watched, it feels perfectly natural. And it feels so balanced. Because it's like, no one else, like, they didn't hand you the answer, but they almost did. And you snatched it from them. It's such a good move.
Can you give an example of a romance that does this well, like movie or book?
Cannot. Because this is where I, like, struggle with it, because the best friend comes in and says, here, this is the answer. And, like, I don't mean to, like, dunk on romance as a whole, but, like, this is just, like, one of my writing pet peeves and also a bit of a reading pet peeve.
I feel like I'm, like, I can never remember anything I've read unless I'm looking at its cover. So, like, if I were to, like, scroll, like, Goodreads or something, I could remember something.
Oh, let me think about how when a Scott ties the knot.
Okay. When a Scott ties a knot, he tells her to go off on the trip.
Yeah, no, he kind of, that's their breakup. He says, go follow your dreams, leave me behind.
Yeah.
It's kind of a lot of him waiting, and then she comes back, and if I remember correctly, and I'm not missing anything. No,
you're right.
Because she says, you know what I did in London? Instead, I went and I talked to someone else, and I got a different job.
Yes.
I got the job I originally wanted, and not this second place traipse around the globe thing.
I would like to come up with an example where they actually break up. So I need to scroll. I need to scroll Goodreads. You ramble for a minute for me, will you?
Ramble for a minute. Okay, so there's this thing I want to talk about, and I've been wanting to talk about it for a while, called diegesis. It's a concept in movies, which is basically these days considered the fourth wall, but it's a little more complicated than the fourth wall. You see, in movies, there's things called diegetic lighting and diegetic sound, and what diegetic means is from within the world of the film. And so there's that separation, and things that may exist in the world of the film but are not witnessed by the characters and beings of the world of the film, such as lighting so that the viewer can see, or music, which is thematic to the mood and for the viewers kind of have you found it yet?
Well, for one thing, you're very distracting because I am very interested in what you're talking about. I'm like, you have to keep scrolling, and I'm like, I'm not scrolling. Why am I not scrolling?
I wrote a 10-page paper in college about the diegesis in musicals.
I want to hear your lecture. So, I would say the people you meet on vacation doesn't do that, but I can't remember exactly what happened there.
Well, so I remember what their breakup was about.
Okay.
I don't remember how they got back together.
I remember that. So, listener, if you haven't read this book, it's fantastic. You should read it, but spoilers are coming. So they break up, and her grand gesture is that she's willing to try living in the hometown that she grew up in, and he's going to try living.
Oh, that she hates.
Yeah, exactly. That she feels really judged by, and I can understand that. And he's going to try living in like New York City with her for a little while so they can figure out where is the right place for them to be. And that's like their wholehearted, WHOLE, hearted. And I can't remember exactly what the grand gesture or what the wake up is for this character, because and it might have to do with her friend who is an Instagram influencer. But again, like I feel like it works well because the friend is a fully fledged character, right?
Oh, I'm like remembering it wrong because I'm like, wasn't there a moment where she was at home visiting her parents looking at photographs or something?
I don't remember. Gosh.
Or like maybe did she run into the fiance that she hated?
She did, but like she was already.
I think that might have been it.
She was already there though, right? Like she was already trying to do the grand gesture. Anyway, I think that there are great examples of
there are great examples out
there are. If you find them, listener, tell us.
Please write them in to us. Do your homework. That's your assignment for the week.
Your assignment. We can't do everything for you.
No. Yeah, no. We're not gonna write this ending for you.
Okay. Are you ready to move on to the grand gesture?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm gonna rant now about how I hate grand gestures.
Okay, I'm ready. No,
not actually. I mean...
I have one in my head that I hate. It makes me cringe. But, like, I don't like public grand gestures. They make me uncomfortable.
Yes, I know. I think, like, because whenever I read grand gesture, it kind of, like, equates in my mind to public proposal.
Right? And it's so uncomfortable. I hate it.
And it's like, oh, don't like that.
But I think, like, a grand gesture can be... It just has to be the right sacrifice for the hero or for the character.
And, like, a level of presentation, I feel like.
And like, a risk factor. Right?
There's a risk factor, but it's also, like... I think also when I think grand gesture, I think, like, Cary Grant showing up at your hotel room to meet you in Venezuela. I don't know.
What?
Some far-flung country that you would never see Cary Grant in.
Okay.
And I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm
sorry.
I'm trying to remember.
I was
is
thinking
it
Carrie...
That Touch of Mink? I'm trying to
I was thinking
describe
of
the
Carrie
plot.
Fisher, and I'm like, I am so not with you on this. Like, I don't understand why you're talking about Carrie Fisher.
It's like, I don't think Carrie Fisher would do any of these things.
I don't
Carrie
know
Grant
the
would
book,
do these.
the movie you're referencing right now. Like, I don't know it.
It's been a hot minute since I watched a Cary Grant movie.
Yeah.
No, I watched Arsenic and Old Lace recently.
Oh, I love that story.
Oh,
that's
such
so
a
fun.
good play.
That one is so fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so grand gesture has to make our character vulnerable in some way. And it also has to give the other character an opportunity to reject the grand gesture. And I think that's my biggest issue with the public grand gesture is now if this person rejects them, they're the asshole, right? Like,
yeah.
And I don't like that.
You need to... There's like this really great advice that the Mabim Bam boys, my brother and me boys, I say they're all like 20 years older than me, give out on their podcast. At least they did in like the first, I want to say 100 episodes. Okay. I think they stopped answering questions similar to this at that point. Where they would say, like, they would get these questions from these people, like, can I ask out this cute cashier at Subway?
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. And their answer was always, like, if the person can't physically run away from you without social repercussion,
right? Yes.
Then you can't ask them out.
Yes. Absolutely. Yes.
And so, like, I think that's kind of the bar I want to put grand gestures at. It's like, if they can't run away without someone getting mad at them for running away...
Okay, now I want to start a romance at a grand gesture that's, like, rejected.
Oh, that does seem like a great place to start a story. It's like, oh god, like, this is happening.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry, my brain just went there.
You know, now I'm thinking about it, too. I'm thinking about, like, one of those really awful public proposals.
Yes. Or, like, okay, this is where my brain went.
There's, like, a fucking band playing.
Okay, but I'm thinking if, like... The wedding singer grand gesture went poorly and they're on the plane. And, like, now you're stuck on the plane and everybody who knows that you just rejected them while you're stuck on the plane.
And now we're here together for the next 7 hours.
Exactly. How uncomfortable.
Oh, I love it.
Like, they literally can't run away. Like, forget social repercussions. They cannot get out of their seat. The seatbelt light's on. Like...
It's like, would you switch seats with me, sir? Did you witness what happened?
Did you see that?
Then? Oh,
and then they can fall in love with the person that does switch seats with them. Mm-hmm. Okay. Anyway, so that sounds like fun. We should write that.
Well, so I do want to, like, just tack in that I feel like grand gesture... I feel like I've seen it treated in a lot of ways, like the whole just get back together with me. Mm-hmm. And that's the... I don't want to say reward, but it's like, that's what I'm offering. Mm-hmm. And it really does need to have that level of,
there's something has changed. Yes. There's a reason why we won't fall into this pattern again.
Yeah, we're not going to just start that argument again in 50 pages.
Exactly. Yeah, I completely agree.
You know, it's like, I've changed, I've learned, or I'm willing to give this up, something like that. Or I'm here to apologize, and this is what shows you that my apology is legitimate. And it's that I don't expect to gain something from this kind of apology.
Yeah. All right. What do you think? You feel good about it?
I feel good about it. The other two beats are what Wholehearted looks like in the epilogue.
Yeah.
I do struggle massively with both of those two because it's just kind of like, well, it ended. What do we do now?
Okay, I was complaining about this with my mom just this weekend because, like, there's no plot to show anymore. There's no tension. There's no stress. I just have to talk about these people being happy now. And that is hard for me. And, like, what's the point of this, right? So, like, what is the point of these chapters here? And how do I write them in a way that satisfies the reader, but also doesn't make me want to puke because it's so freaking cute. Even though I write romance, I'm not a romantic person. So
yeah, I mean, generally I don't care for an epilogue. Like, I'll read it, but I don't get excited about it. A lot of the time I feel, it's kind of like, okay, I'm just getting through this last chapter to finish the book. Like, I came through 300 pages to reach this point. what's 10 more?
I like
You know?
I like the epilogue. I have literally DNF'd a book at 7 pages to the end. I just want to make that known. But I like an epilogue that sets up the next story in the series. I will say, like, particularly the Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating by Christina Lauren. That epilogue was beautiful. It was beautiful. And I think about that as an example of, like, that epilogue really satisfied me. Otherwise, I don't pay much attention to them. Right? Like, if it gets me excited about the next book in the series, I'm all about it. But if it doesn't, it, like you said, it's just, I just got here so I can be done. Are we the most jaded romance readers ever?
We're having such a hard... We're just being so awful.
Am I being awful?
No, it's mostly me.
It's mostly you? I feel like we're on the same...
Me.
I think we have the same tone.
Ranting.
I think this is just the hardest part for you and I, because, like, the story is resolved, and so our goal has been met, right?
I hate to keep pointing to non-romance examples, but this is, like, I feel like a lot of the way that I've learned narrative structure in, like, film classes has been, you know, like, we'll use a movie as an example because why wouldn't we?
Well, but I also think that movie examples are really good because more people have watched the same movie than have read all the same books.
Okay. Well, so Lord of the Rings, just the original series, I think people have kind of joked about how it has 6 endings and they all just happen in a row.
Yeah.
But it's kind of because the book has a lot, like, the series has a lot to tie up.
Yeah.
And it has a lot of, you know, a lot left to go, even though, you know, the evil is defeated.
Yeah, because if we cut any of those out, would it be satisfying?
Yeah, it wouldn't feel like everything's tied up.
No.
And so I think, like, what Wholehearted looks like is the time to, like, you have your emotional plot is resolved. And I think if you have any, and maybe you want to hold off purposefully, maybe any external plot or subplots, things like that need tying up for this chapter, so we can see the characters being happy together and while this plot is finished up.
I do like
it's
that.
like there's an element to keep it interesting, and we do still get to have that happy fuzzy feeling, but we're not only indulging in that feeling.
Well, because, like, if we were to cut any of the stuff from Lord of the Rings, like the endings from Lord of the Rings, it would have to be like the Samwise Gamgee, like, storyline.
No!
And that's exactly it.
No, that's the most important one!
That is the best one. That is the one people are most invested in, but is the least important to the story that has been told, right? So, like...
I would disagree.
Okay.
The entire point of The Lord of the Rings is to preserve the Shire. That is the only want on the part of the hobbits who the fate of the entire world has been trusted into. And it's about preserving the Shire, and it's about returning to a place that
is untouched.
Is exactly the same and untouched and perfect, and realizing that you're traumatized now and you can't come back because you're changed and you no longer fit in here.
But, like, if we're talking, and, like, I don't want to get rid of Samwise's story. I want to make it clear that those scenes are important and correct for the story, and to get rid of them would be unsatisfying for the watcher, the viewer.
But, like, the whole thing is a World War II allegory.
And, like, I wouldn't, because, I was
know.
thinking of, like, okay, so which of the endings didn't need to be there? And, like, this part where they're sitting at the bar and Samwise gets up and goes and obviously kisses Rosie, right? Like, it's all implied, and I love that so much. That, like,
God, it's like
he gets up and you can see it on his face, like, he is gonna go lay one on her, and we never see it happen. But, like, everyone's reaction makes it so clear it happened. Oh, I love that part so much. But, like, that would be the scene that could be cut. But, like, I would never want to see that scene removed from that story. because it is like
Yeah.
one of the few ways that we get to see that their sacrifice was worth it, because it also made him strong enough to approach her. What? Why are you
I just love that your reading of the Lord of the Rings is that
he ended up having true love because he was
defeating
traumatized.
evil, the evilest of all evils, approaching Mount Doom and surviving it and coming through the other end of the war was all his character arc so that he could go kiss a girl.
Don't you want
Which,
that
like,
to be
I'm
true? Like, who doesn't like a hero that's too scared to talk to the girl, right? Like,
I do love it.
I do love it.
Like, just the ways that it's sprinkled throughout.
Yes.
Like, when he's staring at her in the beginning, when they're on Mount Doom and he says something about
Rosie
do you
Cotton
remember
dancing.
Rosie dancing with the ribbons in her hair?
No, he straight up says Rosie Cotton dancing with ribbons in her hair. It would have been her. Oh my god.
And
so
it's
good.
like seeing, because he's shown that want through the whole series, like in those little tidbits.
Yeah. That enrich
because it's been
him as a
consistent,
character.
It does feel it does feel like it's important to have that tied up.
I agree it's important, but it could be omitted. It just wouldn't be as satisfying. Right? So if we look at Wholehearted that way, like, what is really going to satisfy the reader? And it's so hard.
Well, so yeah, you have to like really be keeping track of all the promises you make as the writer. I think along the way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's so easy to accidentally set up a promise and not realize you've set it up.
That is so
and like
true.
You created expectation
without
realizing that you need to fulfill it, and that's why beta readers are so important.
That is so true. Yes.
You're like, oh, you didn't fulfill this expectation.
I thought this was going to happen. Yeah. Well, Kate, is there anything else you want to share about Phase 4?
No. I think maybe choosing The Hobbit was a bad example, because I was like, oh, but then there's all those other things, and it's also been a couple years since I watched it.
I mean, I just recently watched it, like a couple months ago.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we did the winter rewatch of the extended version, and it was so lovely.
We used to have like a daily, not daily,
a yearly
rewatch of Lord of the Rings. I don't know what happened to that tradition.
Bring it back, man.
I think it's all the new ones that were coming out that just kept getting piled on. Like, okay, we're not doing this anymore.
Yeah, we don't do The Hobbit. We only do Lord of the Rings, the extended version.
See, we did the 70s animated
which
version
is
of The Hobbit.
Delightful. Yes, that is
Which
like a
is
blast
so
from my
good.
past. Yes.
God, I was talking to somebody about the rotoscoping that was done in that film.
The what?
Back to animation. Rotoscoping. It's a type of animation. You've definitely seen it before, and you've probably clocked it as kind of looking weird. But you probably didn't like have the terminology to like figure out why it's weird. So like, they did this in a number of Disney movies, like Alice in Wonderland, Sleeping Beauty. But they also do it today with other projects, where you take an actress, you put her in a dress of the silhouette that you're looking for. You make her look as much like the characters you can, maybe. It obviously doesn't have to be her, like just the character. And you have them run through the the motions of what the storyboard, basically. And then you film that, and then you trace over the film frames, and then you create, you can redo the background then, or you can make her look a little different, but you've basically traced the animation.
Okay.
The movement. And it's more realistic for that, but it also looks markedly different from, I think, most hand-drawn animation. Because hand-drawn animation relies on, I want to say, principles like, I think it's called stretch and balance, maybe, where you create exaggerated movements or just exaggerated proportions to accentuate movement. And so
that's making me think of like
more fluid,
the way Little Mermaid's hair moves. Like it's is that not right? Am I not understanding the concept well enough?
I would say the concept is most easily kind of demonstrated in, like, you see a character kind of maybe move their arm to throw a baseball, but their arm just kind of becomes this like curvy arc that doesn't have an elbow in it.
Yeah. Okay.
For one frame.
Yeah.
And then the next frame is just a regular arm. And it's like that curvy, distorted looking frame has made the movement fluid in a way that your eye appreciates, but isn't at all realistic.
Okay, you want to...
And so you're...
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Do we want to just have a whole different episode to talk about animation?
I mean, I'm interested. But this is like a funny little anecdote, so I'm going to tell you real quick. Okay, so when Lost came out back in like 2002, right? That was also around the same time of people having like the ability to record like shows.
Okay, yeah.
And one of their promos came out, and someone like, they had like the polar bear, right? That like was in the promo, and someone paused it like right on the polar bear, and you can totally see it's like pretty much just a box like with a white cape on it, right? And so they had to go back into the show and edit it and make the polar bears look more like, you know, be polar bears, because the old faithfuls didn't work anymore because technology had like caught up to like we can't just use a box with a cape on it anymore. And it's just like kind of fun how like like how one thing affects something else in storytelling.
Yeah. God, we could go on for hours about how, like, that's a whole principle in, like, horror movie monsters is just, you know, create a hint of a monster and just constantly show the hints and let the human imagination fill in the rest of the monster. Yeah. And just never show the monster until, like, because the moment you do, it's not scary anymore.
It's all the things that you built it up in your head.
And seeing something for too long, I think, makes it less and less scary. Agree. There's, like, this really great moment in Over the Garden Wall where they finally... Like, the Beast is, like, this kind of human silhouetted dude, but he's got, like, antlers. And he's always enshadowed and you only see the light of his eyes. There's this moment when the lantern gets turned upon him and you look at him and he's made up of roots, but they're kind of gross looking, I guess. Okay. And it's literally, the frame lasts for less than a second. And it gives you such a scare because you're like, oh, what is that? And you don't get to see it for very long.
That reminds me of, we could do this for days, because that reminds me of Signs.
We could.
Like, when there's like the weird like at-home video and then the alien walks across the screen, like I jumped so hard at that point.
Yeah, no, like if you... God, it's that moment in Lord of the Rings where like... I've only seen one movie and it's Lord of the Rings. Don't judge me.
Well, it's that moment. Like we're both using the same line. We are troping ourselves.
Yeah, it's the moment with the ring where like his face has CGI for all of a second and he growls and he's like that moment takes years off my life every time. Every time. It's not even that scary, but like when you pause it, you're like, oh yeah, they just made his eyes kind of creepy.
Yeah, it's not that bad, but like it's like in that moment, that character being distorted like that, going from like a protector to an assailant, right? And it's just, whew.
And for less than a second.
Okay, Kate. Do you want to give your piece of writing advice?
Oh, that means I need writing advice.
Yeah.
My writing advice is, remember to follow your id and don't let writing become a chore for you.
I like that.
I feel like I've said that before, but
I think it's worth
that is
repeating. The theme. I would say my piece of writing advice is...
What is it?
God, what is it?
Give up on your dreams.
God!
I love telling people that. I don't know
why. Okay. But I feel like my writing advice every single week is be adaptable. So I'm just gonna also say like follow your id. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm piggybacking you this time.
Copycat.
I'm gonna be a copycat.
I'm taking you to court for plagiarism.
It's very weird. Okay, so listener, you can find Kate at by Kate Pryor on Instagram and Twitter, and you can get her novella Love Laugh Lich on Amazon, and it's available in paperback as well. And you can sign up for my newsletter and get You and Me in Quarantine at Marty.5. You can email me if you have questions or thoughts or anything at Marty.5. Nope. More words. At MartyVAuthor@gmail.com. And you can find me on the socials at MartyVAuthor on TikTok, Instagram, and the Twitter. And if you love our podcast, like, rate us, review us. If you don't love our podcast, I mean, you give us your time. You might as well rate us and review us too. Also, Kate and I are going to take a little mini break. And we'll be back in like July, but we have a couple more episodes coming up for you. So, yeah,
they're going to be fun.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
I believe next week we're going to interview Roxy Noir about her book that's coming out.
Which I'm so excited about. I'm like finishing up the Loveless Brothers series right now. Like I'm on the last book, and it's very, the heat has come to the pages. It's very good. Ooh. Yes. And I'm very excited about the story that starts her next series. And then, we have one more episode after that, and we'll take a mini break. But we won't be long, because we love you. And we think you're pretty cool. And we hope you have a lovely night. And eventually Kate has to tell me to stop talking. So...
Oh, I figured you would just find your, little spot to park it.
Do I ever? I love when you cut me off with the music.
Usually.
I love when you cut me off with music.
I do that ever. You said that once, and I was like, okay, it's going to walk us out every time.
I love it. Okay, listener, have a lovely day.
Right,
You're the coolest. Bye.